Okay, so as most of you guys know, I've been working on this Superduty, trying to get the thing put back together. And I don't know, just sometimes you just see things you don't expect to see. And this happens to be one of them. I think it's just this Illuminati weirdo weekend that I'm having. But I've worked on a lot of vehicles, and this is an odd one. I bought this vehicle. It was near a house, caught on fire. Was the guy's daily driver, supposedly, and the side of the truck got burned. So I'm thinking, hey, you know, the truck's been burned. Is the guy's daily driver. Shouldn't be a lot wrong with this thing. Well, there's no keys to the truck, so I had to take the column apart. Took the column apart and got the switch out. Cranked the truck over. Wouldn't engage. So I went and bought a new starter to the tune $250, which is, if you're going to put one on it, just put a new one on it. So I put a starter on it, jumped it across the switch underneath the dash, got the truck fired up. Truck ran great. I was really pumped. So I took the steering column out of my other truck, put it in, as you'll see, I'll show you. I got it all in here, everything all hooked up. I started this thing up. I'm going to take it for a test drive. Now, I worked for Ford for 13 years. I've worked on cars my entire life, so I'm not some just random bozo. But when you hear things in a vehicle, you're like, sounds like this or that. Well, I rebuilt transmissions for Ford Motor Company and a Ford dealership for several years. And this one baffled me. I get the truck started. I put the thing in gear. Does not move. So I'm automatically looking, it's electric transfer case. Electric transfer case seems to shift in and out of gears, so that's working. I go to put it in park, and there's a clicking noise. Well, that usually happens like when you have a truck on a lift, and you put it in gear and you don't stop the wheels before you put it in park, or the car's still moving when you put it in park. And that's not the case. But this is the case. I'm going to show you how my day has been going. With a bit of relief, but a little bit of frustrating at the same time. So check this out. All right, so here's what we have going on. Truck starts right up. All the gauges come up. If you see over here, an ABS light on, which, you know, I wasn't too terribly surprised at first, being full lifted four-wheel drive. You know, something seemed a little bit off. But it's pretty normal for these. But when you put the truck in reverse, clearly, we shouldn't have to gas it much. It should just move. It's not moving. All right. Put it in neutral. Into drive. I may have said that backwards, but same thing. Still doesn't move. Now, I'm going to put it in park. And you heard a little grind there. Now that's what I'm talking about. It's a little more pronounced if you do it a little faster, but now that I know what's wrong with the truck, I don't want to do that. So here's what's going on. I'm going to put this in drive. All right. We're going to get out. Not as much wrong. Not that I get a bad transmission, and I get a bad rear end. I'm going to guess it's probably cleaning spider gears out of it, but we'll find out more when we take it apart. Oh well. But when you do this stuff, you got to be careful. So, because it's spinning, we want to get the shaft to stop. So the best way to do it is get it in neutral. You get it in neutral, then you can go to park. But at least the AC blows cold. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to lock in the hubs and see if it'll move in four-wheel drive. But it has auto hubs on it, and most likely the vacuum isn't working. So I'm going to hook in the hubs and see if this thing will move. All right, guys. Wish me my best. All right. So I'm going to fire it back up again. Just put it in neutral and locked it in 4-low. And see if this old girl works. Oh, we've got takeoff. This is good news. This is probably the best news I've had. So I would say we definitely have a transmission, and we definitely have a rear end issue. So we're going to back up and see if this thing will shift through the gears. Then we'll bring it in and get this rear end tore apart. But yes, so it definitely is in the rear end housing. Obviously, you can see the shaft spinning, and it does move. So we definitely are going to be able to drive this truck once we get the rear end sorted out. But I'll get a cover pulled off, do a little video. Maybe you guys can check it out. Wish me luck. So that's my latest dilemma with this truck. Now we've got to put a rear end in it, and hopefully amongst my parts trucks, I have the right rear end in it. Could be as little as spider gears. We won't know until we pop the cover off. But all in all, man, sometimes you just can't win. It can always be worse. Always can be worse. We'll just fix it and we'll keep going. Hope you guys have a good day. All right, so everybody's asking me why I'm driving this down the road in front wheel drive. Because you have to make sure this thing's going to shift. The only way to do that is to drive it down the road. There's one gear. Bound up a little bit, but again, like I said, we're only going through the front drive shaft, so almost up to speed. May be off too because we got bigger tires on it. So as you can see, we're along 55, cruising along. Dogs are fighting as usual. One wants to be in front, one wants to be in back, one's got the other's window. But for the most part, yes, we're in 4-wheel drive. Gauges don't look too bad. So yeah, all in all, got more work to do, but all right, so we're under the truck and I've just unbolted the cover. I haven't taken it off yet. My kind of guess is, I'm guessing it's probably ate the spider gears in this thing. We're gonna find out. It could have a stripped ring and pinion, but Dana 60s, 70s, really highly unlikely. So I'm gonna flip this thing around. You guys go ahead and take a look and see what you think. All right. So let's take the last one out. I wonder if they'll stay there enough. All right, I haven't quite pulled it all the way off yet, but I'm gonna try to one-hand it. Ooh, well, I'm gonna guess it's nothing visibly gone in it. I mean, that's a pretty big housing to bust. I'll have to shine a light down in there. But I was thinking I was going to see some spider gears laying in this pan. But I'm not seeing that. It's a limited slip. So everything kind of feels tight there. But anyway, nothing immediate jumping out at me. We do know that the drive shaft turns, but the ring gear doesn't. I will say this, it doesn't have a blown up ring gear, so whatever the problem is inside of here, which kind of sucks. Looks like it's a pretty decent locker. So we will tear it apart and go from there, and that's that. Well, that's it for today. Hoping to be something simple, but it's never simple. Something else. Okay, so I took it out of 4-wheel drive, and I put the truck in drive. As we know, the truck doesn't move when it's out of 4-wheel drive. It only moves through the front housing. And as you saw earlier, there's nothing we can see majorly immediately wrong with the rear end housing. So what I did is, we've got it in drive right now. We're not going anywhere. We're gonna go underneath the back, okay, and check out and see what we can find, see what's moving. All right, so it's in gear right now, and it's supposed to be. Wow, look at this. broken the limited slip differential in it. Whatever it was, either smoked the clutches or busted some stuff up in there. So anyway, center section's got to come out. Pull the axles and dump it. Okay, this day just keeps getting weirder and weirder. So originally when I crawled under the truck, I took the first video and I said to myself, I said, man, this thing's spinning way too easy. You know, or broke spider gears, you know, there should be something in the pan, something going on. And I said, broken axles. Now, this is a pretty stout truck, but it's a Dana 60. And I would have never expected this. So I popped the axle out and that's what came out. Sheared the axle off. So somehow or other, I got to see if I can fish out the rest of the axle, and we can stick it in there and see what we can figure out. Pulled this one out too, just because, but everything looks good there, looks clean. So just kind of doing this in the driveway. I'm gonna guess, and looking at that, we're probably not looking at taking that center section out. You have to take the axles out to get the center section out anyway. So I'd say we're gonna be fishing an axle, which should come right out hopefully, and we're gonna stuff an axle in it and see if this baby moves. All right, the weird day just keeps getting weirder. Hopefully this fixes it. Okay, I'm back again. And just when you thought shit couldn't get any weirder, like I said, I bought this truck because it was next to a fire. It was supposedly the guy's daily driver, sitting next to a house. I was assuming that probably fix the fire stuff on it, get some batteries in, this thing's gonna run, it was probably gonna be okay. And starter was bad. Not terribly surprised. That stuff happens. I was just hoping it wasn't full of water. Got the batteries in it, got the starter in it, got the thing fired up. Tore the column apart because I had to put an ignition switch in it, get the column all done, get the column all put back together. Go to put the thing in gear, it doesn't move. So put it in 4-wheel drive, we take it down the road. Transmission shifts through all the gears. Everything seems to be good. Obviously, we looked underneath. We saw the drive shaft spinning, so something was wrong with the rear end. Pulled the cover off, rear end spinning, and assumed possibly spider gears. So in order to pop that out, I also said possibly broken axle. Now, I hate to be right, but it obviously, based on my other video, was a broken axle. And as you could see, I pulled the axle out. But this is what I did not expect. I expected to be spending the next few hours, whatever, trying to get the axle out of this thing. This is what I ran into. Okay, so I come over here, and as you guys saw, there's a broken axle there. There's the bolts. That's fluid. I just really don't care at this point. I just want this thing to work and be done. Now, I went to fish the axle out, and as you can see, yes, you're looking straight through to the other side. There's no broken axle shaft in there. So whoever broke this axle took it out a long time ago. This truck has been broken a long time. So unfortunately, it was sitting for other reasons, but what are the odds that not only would it be broken, but half the shaft is missing? What do you think, Stells? It's ridiculous, isn't it? No shaft. I'm bewildered. I'm gonna go grab another shaft out of one of my other trucks, stick it in there, and hopefully this thing moves. We're gonna find out here shortly. All right, guys. Okay, so we got it all started up. It's on a 4-wheel drive. ABS light's oddly enough out. And we replaced the rear axle that you saw was broken. So let's go ahead and put it in drive and see if it moves. Guess what? It still doesn't move. Well, that's weird. So that must mean that there's still something blown up in the rear end. And the center section's still turning. Oh man, can't win. Thought I got a break with the axle. Guess not. Oh well. Back apart it comes, pull the axles out, drop the center section. Okay, so we've removed the caps, both sides, and my legs are wider than a piece of paper, but I'm trying to do this in my driveway so you guys can see you don't need all the fancy tools and fancy lifts to do this. So we're gonna take this out, set it down, get it put in the back of the truck and tear it apart. I'm gonna need both hands, so I'm gonna set the phone down. Okay, well, it's out. Not really seeing anything major on the, especially like metal. There's usually a lot of metal in here. There's a little bit on the plug on the cover, but not bad, especially for having a broken axle in it before. But we got it out. It's sitting down on the cardboard. You gotta always make sure your races and stuff stay same to the side, because they are shimmed accordingly. Same over here. You also got to make sure your caps go back on the same direction. I was actually kind of surprised. It's really only a 3/4 inch bolt holding these things, 3/4 headed bolt, 1/2 inch bolt holding this differential in. But we're going to pull this thing, put it up on the tailgate, and tear it apart and see what we can come up with. Okay, so here's the Super Duty saga. We got it out. We got it on the back of the truck, just sitting here. Like I said, I'm doing this out in the yard so people can kind of, you know, get an idea that they don't need to have a full commercial shop to tear shit apart and put it back together. But I'm going to yank this thing apart. I'm going to try to do it on camera here so you guys can see it. And we're going to see what's inside. We know it don't work, so we can't hurt anything. There's all the debris and bent up and burn up stuff that was on the truck when I got it. So let's watch. Dun, 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 dun. There's a 9/16. Here's that one. And my impact gun is right there. Alright, so see if this thing can blow up my face. There's one. Yeah, it's spinning because I'm holding the phone. All right, there didn't seem to be any pressure there. So let's get these bolts out of it. And the thing is, you always try to take stuff off in a crisscross pattern in case there is pressure on it and stuff. It will release evenly. And yeah, so all the bolts are out of it. And again, I'm gonna have to set this phone down. So maybe I can set it right here and see what it takes to get this thing apart. And I'm going to say, based on what I can see, is if you look right here, these are supposed to be clutches and steels. So if you notice, all the frictions are together. And that's not normally the way you do these. These should be friction, steel, friction. And so this is a steel, and it should go in between each one of these plates. And that's what makes them lock up, okay? So it should be friction, steel, friction, and these are clearly not in any sort of order. They're just kind of stuck together. So, yeah, I think it's junk. All we can do is either order a kit, or I could try to stick it back together. There's no side pressure on it, so that's not good. So anyway, locker appears to be junk. I did notice these weird, I'll pick this up again. I just noticed these weird marks in the housing. And I don't know if that's from when the axle broke or what. But anyway, the big problem I'd say, looking at it, is whoever built this thing, it probably worked for a while, but it's not longevity-wise. All these parts are the same, but it's these slipping is what doesn't allow for the axles to engage. So I could get a friction kit. I may do that. I'm going to look around, see what is available. I also have another rear end I can just stick in the truck and be done, as long as it's a 4:10 gear ratio, which you can tell by the tag. As you can see, it says 41 and 10. That's 41 of these teeth and then 10 teeth on the ring gear. Yeah, so sucks, but we finally found our problem. There it is. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. This is how it was in the truck. As you see it, all your steels and frictions are together. They're not separated. This is how it's supposed to look. I rearranged them. It's supposed to be steel friction, steel friction, steel friction, steel friction, steel friction. But this is actually how it was in the truck. So this will not last. This will not work. This is how it's supposed to work. So most likely they're completely destroyed and it'll require a new kit. But that's why it doesn't move. Because whoever put this together clearly broke an axle for one reason, and number two, they just put everything together wrong. So I'm going to see what I can do about getting some clutches and steels and maybe put this back together. Probably one of my parts truck has them. But other than that, what a crazy day. Broken axles, complete total foolishness. I guess it's just one of those things that people like this shouldn't be driving these trucks because they clearly have no idea what they're doing. Hope you guys like the video, but that's the end of our dilemma. Wrong, right, wrong, right, wrong.